Hi, welcome to Experiment with Jo Köpke. That's me. These super short episodes are designed to bring that injection of encouragement, inspiration, and maybe get you thinking a little bit. I hope you enjoy. Hello and welcome back to the Experiment from Jo Köpke podcast. I am Jo and it has been a couple of months since I last did an episode. It was an unexpected break. I was very sick with COVID for a lot of May, and it just kind of turned into a break where I was processing some things, and there's just been a lot internally. I couldn't point to a lot externally, but internally there's been a lot going on. And we're suddenly at July. Half the year is gone. And if you've been around my writing or my words for a little while or know me in any way, you know that reflection is something that's important to me. One of the things that I really love doing is kind of like a mid-year reflection, a bit of a reset, if you will, to really dig into what the plan for the year has been, how that's going, what I want the rest of the year to look like. And sometimes there's not much that changes. Sometimes it's a huge change. It's kind of a in-between for this year. I use the Full Focus Planner as my regular planning and goal setting routine. It's a quarterly planner. So that at the end of each quarter, you go through this review process where you start by celebrating the wins from the previous quarter. And I love that we start there. I love that it's not just, oh, what's gone wrong? But you can look back and celebrate. And there have been some beautiful things in this last quarter, some wonderful things to celebrate. And I needed to do that. I needed to stop and take a minute to acknowledge those. But then part of that process is going back to those annual goals that I had set and revisiting them, seeing if they were still relevant. Were they still what I wanted to do? And for the first time, probably since 2020, when, the world erupted, I actually changed my goals for this year. I scrapped 3 of them. I kind of changed some other ones. And I think that reflects a lot of what has been going on inside of me. And really a catalyst for that over this year has been really digging deeper, not just looking at the surface level of my leadership, my relationships, just who I am, but wanting to go a bit deeper. And this came through realizing that I was at kind of a low-grade burnout level. Obviously, the past couple of years have been incredibly tough for so many, and I think so many of us relate to this feeling of just being burned out or dealing with the trauma, really, the long-term effects of all that has happened. But it went further back than that as well. If you've read my book, Stepping Up in Leadership, you'll be familiar with this fast rise in leadership that I have been on for the last several years. And I mean, that book was written before I even considered the managing director role of the not-for-profit that I volunteer for as well. It didn't stop. And then I found myself in this new leadership position as a global pandemic erupts and everything changed. I fast realized that my foundations are not strong enough to support the level of leadership I am currently trying to work through. There were massive cracks showing. And I realized that if I didn't do something about those foundations now, I can keep going for a little while. I could keep pushing through, but I would end up doing damage, not only to myself, but to the people that I'm leading, to my family. And that was not okay with me. I wanted to try and fix this. I wanted to try and rebuild the foundations to allow me to move forward. And maybe that resonates with you. Maybe you have seen some cracks appearing in your own foundations. Maybe that's part of what the pandemic has kind of shown us and revealed is some of those cracks underlying and given us a chance to have the opportunity to look at that. So for me, one of the ways that I started, dealing with this is I sought out a leadership coach. Now that hasn't started yet, that program. I'll talk more about that in a minute. But he suggested doing an emotionally healthy leader course that was coming up. Now, this is very much a Christian course based in my faith background. If you relate to that in any way, I highly recommend the Emotionally Healthy Leader course and all the materials from Pete Scazzero. He's got a podcast, Emotionally Healthy Leader podcast, that I would really recommend as well. So go and check that out. But this is where I kind of started doing some of this deeper work, really engaging in some of those tough questions, engaging in looking deeper, what's actually going on underneath. And there have been a lot of tears. There have been some incredible discussions with other leaders. It was an incredible course, but so intense. And I'm still unpacking a lot of what has come out of that for me. There were some unexpected personal revelations that I'm probably not quite ready to share publicly yet, but it shook up my idea of who I am and what drives me. It revealed a few things in me that I know I have to do some hard work to really look and address those. And I have a plan to do that. But it also gave me some new daily practices of silence and meditation and slowing down, things that I've tried before but haven't really implemented. It's still a work in progress. I'm far from perfect, but it's been life-giving. And part of the course is also looking at developing a rule of life, which is described and is based in this concept of a trellis, where it becomes this framework that you can base your decisions on. It's this framework of priorities and what you will allow in your life in each of these areas in order to sustain you, in order to not be burning out, not be so driven and focused on these things that are good often, but maybe not best. I think I'm going to do a whole other podcast on that rule of life. I'm still working through developing mine. It's not right yet. It's not there yet. It's a work in progress, and that's okay. But it's made me reevaluate everything that I'm doing. When you have these sort of little boxes in each domain in your life and you're starting to list down, okay, what are the things I'm actually going to be focusing on for this domain? What's actually important? And seeing just how massively out of balance the work domain has been in my life compared to the other domains. Yeah, I've got some hard decisions to make. There were decisions that were already bubbling and brewing, but it's really brought it to the surface. So I'm in those process of making some big decisions, some hard decisions. I am setting up a kind of like a committee of people who I'm inviting them to ask hard questions. I'm inviting them into this process with me because I recognize the value of not just asking myself questions, but inviting others into that process as well. So that's kind of part of what's going on too. So all of this kind of came at a great time to do this mid-year reset where I'm reviewing things. Everything's on the table. Everything's up for grabs. Everything's up for change. Now, I'm trying to do that in a way that, I'm sure we can all appreciate feeling like, hey, I just want to give up everything and go crawl into bed. But that's not a healthy version of it. And so I really am grateful for having been able to take some time to reflect, take some time to rest, take some time to wrestle with some of these deeper things so that I am in a healthier mindset, a healthier place to be able to look at things and make healthy decisions, relook at priorities. So that's really what I wanted to invite you into. Use this mid-year point to stop and look at your life. Now, it would be easy to want to change everything all at once. I'm struggling with that. That's a big part of what I'm having to deal with is slow, embracing a slow process of change. But maybe there's one thing. Maybe there's one thing in your life that you know is out of whack. There's one decision that you need to make. There's one big brave thing you want to try for the rest of this year. There's one thing you want to start saying no to. Whatever that may be, can I just encourage you to take some time, figure it out, and actually do it? It can be so easy to just get caught up in the mundane, in the everyday, in the busyness, in everything that's going on, and just allow it to railroad us, really, and just kind of be on this ever faster race forward without stopping to think if it's actually the direction we're wanting to go. So this is your invitation. I'd love to hear what's going on for you, what's next for you, what's that next step that you'll be taking. You can always get in touch with me through my website, jokoepke.com, jokoepke.com, or Jo Koepke on social media. I'd love to hear from you. For me, my next step is I have booked in a 6-month one-on-one leadership coaching sessions with Jason Perkins. I am so excited and I am dreading it because I know it's just going to be more hard work, more digging deeper, but it's that helpful kind of pain that I know will be for my benefit and for the benefit of those around me as well. So that starts on the August 4th, so coming up soon now. And yeah, it's going to be great. And I have been so humbled in this process. So part of booking in this leadership coaching is I actually asked for financial help to help me pay for it. Being a volunteer for most of my week and only working a very small amount, producing a lot of these things like this podcast for free for people means that financial capacity to engage in some of these things is limited. So I put it out there and asked for help, and I have been just blown away by people's response and generosity. So thank you if you are one of those people who has donated towards that. I so appreciate it. If you find the content I put out helpful and you would like to contribute something in recognition of that, I would be grateful. It's a GoFundMe page and you can find it linked on my social media, or send me a message through the website and I can send you that link as well. But here we are. It's July. It's time for us to keep going. We don't get to stop, but we do get to pause and make that choice. So let's reset. Let's refocus. And let's head into this last half of the year with a renewed sense of courage, purpose, and intention. I hope you have a great week. Take care. thanks for listening to another episode. If you want to stay in touch, please look me up on social media, Jo Koepke. That's JOKOEPKE on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If you head on over to the website in the show notes, you'll be able to stay in touch via email too. I look forward to hearing from you. Take care.